Hello and welcome back to Architect Supreme Commander Forged Alliance coverage. This week we've got another set of clan versus clan action as we continue the Clash of Clans series. We're nice enough to receive another replay from FTX Commando. Well, let's see how this game is going to get on. This time it is Empire Clan versus, well, not SNF that we saw last week, COM this time around, but they also have an interesting naming convention. You might recall that SNF all have to finish their names in noob. Well, just wait till you have a look at the COM clan. Let's go ahead and take a look at our teams. We have got for the Empire Clan Heaven, Jagged Appliance and Speed 2, and who are they taking on? None other but the famous Dave 0, Dave 1 and Dave 2. If the statistics are to be believed, I am under the impression that we are looking at Congreve, FTX Commando and Farm Sledgehammer in no particular order. I think Farm Sledgehammer might actually be Dave 1, Congreve maybe even Dave 0, but we're just going to call them 0, 1 and 2 for the purposes of this game. So without any further ado, let us head on through to morning prayer and let's check out some of that action. Right, resume that game and let's get it on. Alright, so we have got the Empire Clan in the southern position. Let's go and take a look at their initial build orders. Alright, we've got Heaven. He is going to go Cybran, not surprisingly. He is going to throw down 2 power generators and then his 4 core mass extractors after getting that first land factory down. Well, that's not exactly surprising. All of these guys do have a hydro nearby, so they don't have to spam up those Tech 1 power generators before they... I'm just stopping to laugh at that name there. He's going to be useless and he needs energy, please. It is none other than Speed 2. He is going to opt for the Aeon faction this time around. We can see he's got a first air factory down, which is nice. He will have a scout out pretty soon, I would suggest, so they can try and get a little bit of a bead on what the COM clan are doing. Rounding it out for the Empire Clan, we have got Jagged Appliance taking the Seraphim faction. He's going to throw down just a single power generator before getting those 4 core mixers, and we can see engineers toddling off over that direction to start building that hydro. Up in the north we have got Dave 1. So Mr. 1, he is going to go in a lovely baby pink colour. He is going to be UEF for this match. He's got 2 power generators, so very, very standard across the board, apart from Heaven, who wants to break the mold. Sorry, Jagged Appliance breaking the mold. Heaven is just part of that mold. So Dave 1 is going to head off and assist that factory. I was thinking for just a second there he may have forgotten to bring an engineer with him, but there we go, an engineer coming in to get that tech. Of course, the commander cannot build by himself. We've already got some action on. I'm taking far too long with these intros. We've got our first blood down here. We've got Heaven managing to take out a little light assault bot or a scout. I didn't actually catch which one it was. We can see that scout out from Speed 2 now hovering over the top of Dave 2's base. Dave 2 has got his hydro down. He's actually going to go reasonably hard with the power. We can see he's going to get a couple of air factories down. That's going to give him a little bit of air power to try and combat Speed 2. Obviously these guys at the back of the respective sides going to be a little bit of a support and air player. Now rounding out the last of our entrants for this map, we have got Dave 0. Actually, did these guys line up nicely? We've got Dave 0 and then we've got Dave 2. Oh, they missed an opportunity to have it numbered nicely across the map. In any case, Dave 0, he's going UEF. He's got 2 land factories already completed and he's working on a third. A little bit scanned on power there. We can see just a single power generator down there. He's captured that hydro. He's got, well, not a lot of other power to go off, so he's going to be relying on Reclaim just a little bit, but that Reclaim is not going to come out terribly well if his engineer dies, but fortunately just a few HP left on that guy. He will survive to continue bringing in some reserve energy. We have got a couple of raiding units coming down this way from Dave 1. It looks like he is going to be successful. That tank is actually going to come across that engineer and it is going to take it out. Just one more shot and down it goes. So that is a successful deny. Another couple of tanks roving around looking for opportune targets, but I think that was probably the most vulnerable engineer that already went down. We've now got a couple of units, including Speed's ACU itself, rolling on in here to provide a little bit of support coverage, but those things are a little bit slow, and we can see just how easily this tank can get past that ACU. And if it can get around into the engineers, it can cause even more trouble. So that is going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Although I suspect he is going to be sitting here waiting to pick off any engineers going for a hydro. But what is that in the far distance? Well, that is some engineers on a transport. It looks like Speed 2 is making the most of all of these plateaus. He's going to pop up here with some engineers and start grabbing mixes and Reclaim. Nice to see. He's already captured 2 little plateaus, a third one just been dropped, and very cheekily heading right across onto Dave Zero's territory to snag a little bit of his mass. I don't know, but that might actually be hit by artillery. I think maybe Tech 1 artillery could just get up there. We'll have to see what happens, because that is the most likely response for him to try and kick Speed off his little plateau there. The ACUs actually for the top team for the Com clan are looking very, very aggressive at the moment. They're a long way forward. We can see Dave Zero all the way forward capturing this mix, which is well within the territory you'd expect Heaven to own. We have got the other ACU across here from Dave 2 sitting in the middle, and that is a very tasty looking pile of Reclaim. Holding down shift control. Shift doesn't yield a huge amount of numbers, but we can see that there are actually quite a lot of smaller rocks there not showing. And we've got the third ACU all the way up to, well, that's actually Jagged from the south, because what is this? Dave 1 did not get the memo. He is sitting back at base. Looks like he's trying to fornicate with his hydrocarbon plant. That's an interesting maneuver, but in any case, he is free now. He is going to roll on forward and challenge Jagged Appliance for this part of the map. But so far, there's a lot of spam coming out from the Com clan, not a lot coming out from the Empire. There's a bunch of tanks rolling into Heaven's base. Now, what has he got to defend against that? I don't think he's got much at all. There's a couple of Mantis back here, but not enough to defeat, what is that, 7 strikers coming in from Dave Zero. Oh, but there we go. There is a very handy Jester on the case. He's going to start laying down some fire, but they've already lost another mass extractor there. This is causing quite a bit of problem for Heaven's Eco here. He's just knocking out all those Tech 1 mass extractors. We can see he's sitting on only 19 mass per tick in generated income. That is a little bit of a problem when we're talking about 35, 40, 47 even for the other players. He is lagging just a little bit. It's going to be quite hard for him to keep that spam up. We've got Speed's ACU in here. He's trying to blend into the surroundings, not doing a very good job of it, but he is chasing down those strikers. The Jester is still on the case, so they're going to lose another Tech 1 mass extractor for Heaven. He's going to drop down to just 17 generated income. He really needs to get that boosted up a little bit. Where is all of his eco going? Where has it gone? Certainly hasn't been into mass extractor upgrades. It certainly hasn't been into spam. Does he have commander upgrades? Well, yeah, we can see there is a little bit of a glow on that ACU. Is that possibly an upgrade? Let's have a quick look at what he's got on board. We have got stealth, and we have got gun. So that is where all of our resources for Heaven have been going. That could be a little bit dangerous at this early stage in the game. The extra range on that cannon, and of course the double damage, could be very, very handy if it can come into contact with this ACU from Dave Zero, who is also on upgrade. Do we have Notify on? Yes, he is also grabbing the gun upgrade. Very nice of him to have that mod on so we can see what he is doing. We've got a pretty serious engagement over the right-hand side here between Dave 1 and Jagged Appliance. Both of these guys laying a bunch of fire down into each other's armies. Looks like all they've succeeded in doing is creating a bunch of wrecks there to be picked up by, well, whoever is fastest with the engineers. I do say it's maybe a little bit closer to Dave 1, and he perhaps has just a little bit more control over the area right now, and he does actually have an engineer just back here currently building a radar. That guy could go and scoop up a little bit of mass in the very near future. Meanwhile, as ACU is across this side of the water, he is going to be pushing quite hard. He's got the gun upgrade as well. We can see the lovely model there of the large extended cannon. He's going to just be rocking forward and laying down waste to this forward position that Jagged Appliance did previously own, but that's not going too well for him at all. He has been pushed right back. Far too much firepower for him to deal with. We have got Dave Zero having a completed gun upgrade. Now we can see he's making his way out of the water, coming up onto the beach. He's going to go for a little bit of a walk, trying to find an ACU to snipe. How is he going to do with that? Well, what are the support numbers looking like? There are only a dozen or so tanks there, and Heaven has actually managed to get a decent number of Mantis online now that he has completed those commander upgrades, which are just sucking the life out of his economy. So he is in a pretty good position. If Dave Zero is a little bit too aggressive here, it could spell trouble. Either that or the UE of ACU with its little bit more tank could push through and knock him out of the game, and that would be seriously disastrous for the Empire clan at this point, because there is so much spam, and they would have an extra commander rocking down into the back of Speed 2's base, and that is not heavily defended at all. Well, save a small pack of jesters, that is. How are we going tech-wise? Let's have a look for upgrades. We have got a Tech 2 land factory. We've got a couple of pillars spewing out of that. So that means Dave Zero is going to be fielding Tech 2, not really on the front lines just yet, but they will be there reasonably shortly. And we'll just zoom in here, because what is happening? We've got a commander versus commander engagement. Heaven is holding his forces way back, taking all of that damage with the ACU, acting as a damage sponge, trying not to lose all of that T1 army. Looks like Dave Zero actually not remembering to do the same thing and losing a bunch of his Tech 1 to the ranged gun on that ACU. How are we going for air tech? Well, we have got Tech 2 air, and this is Aeon, so that of course does mean Mercies. We've got no Mercies so far. We do have a transport dropping units, but nothing too consequential. A little bit of an air fight going on actually. There is the Interceptors out for Speed 2, and Jagged Appliance just mopping up what the guys in the north have put together so far. Dave Zero just having to back up a little bit. I don't think he realized just quite the number of Mantis that Heaven had ready to go. It means Heaven is going to push him back, gain a little bit of that territory back, and wow, those jesters just hanging around the bottom of the screen there. They're just thinking about going in. How much anti-air does Dave have? Well, not a lot. Actually, no, I take that back. There is a Skyboxer in there. Tech 2 Flaky obviously missed the fact that that was inbound. But what is that? Mercies! Wow, taking Dave down to 3,300 HP. He immediately heads for the water. The Jesters just falling around this side, trying to stay out of range of that Skyboxer, but they're just continuing to take a little bit of damage. So Heaven is going to get them out of there before they all die, but I don't think he's going to be successful in saving them. Now, was there another upgrade on Heaven's ACU? Let's just have a quick peek at what is on board with this guy, because that is the torpedo launcher. What on earth are we doing with that on this map? Well, there is a pond here, so we can use torpedoes. And Dave Zero obviously completely unaware that that is the case, and he is going to be in a lot of trouble here actually, because he is down to 1500. Every time one of those torpedoes hits, it's 300 DPS. That is way too much for Dave Zero to withstand, and he is going to be eliminated. So he went from being in a strong position, pushing very far forward, and he's actually been kicked out of the game. That is a big problem now for the Com clan, because they are a player down. We've now got Heaven free to do whatever he wants, but what is this? What did we miss while we're watching that Com on Com action? Heaven's base has been completely destroyed, save, wow, there's 2 power generators, a hydro plant, and that's about it. So Heaven being almost knocked out of the game eco-wise. What was that? Was there some tank missiles? I don't know. Really should have been paying a bit more attention to that. But in any case, Heaven is now free to expand. There's not a lot of pressure on him, but he won't be able to contribute a whole lot to the E-Clan tactics for the next little while he has to rebuild his plan from scratch. And what is this? Speed 2. Is he going to be handy, or is he going to be cheeky? Because my money would actually be on being cheeky and scooping up all of Heaven's reclaim, maybe even stealing some of his mexes just for laughs. We do have a small snipe attempt, I think, on the way. There's not quite enough gunships there. There's only 5, well, 7 if you count these 2 that are back by the factory. T2 gunships. How exposed? It looks like they're heading over towards Jagged Appliances. ACU, how exposed is he? He does not have much at all in the way of anti-air support. Those gunships are going to roll in, first taking out that mech, but now they're starting to lay into that commander. What are the E-Clan going to do about this? Where are all of the air support units? Well, we've got some swift ones over here from Speed 2, but that looks like just about it. Jagged Appliance could be in real trouble here. He's throwing down some Tech 1 AA as fast as he can, but he is losing HP very, very rapidly. Those swift ones come in from Speed 2, starting to lay down fire on those Spectres. But we've got Dave 2's own interceptors coming in to try and put a stop to that. Are they going to succeed? Well, they are managing to take those gunships out. It costs Speed all of his swift wins, but he does manage to focus fire those gunships, leaving Jagged Appliance alive on just 2,800 HP. That is very, very vulnerable. He probably needs to get himself a little bit of AA coverage fast. Actually, he's got some mobile flak now. What is Speed doing in the back here? He has got a Tech 2 to Tech 3 upgrade in the works, so he's going to have Tech 3 air very, very shortly. How is he going in terms of economy? 2.1k power, not quite enough to pump out ASF, so he's going to get Tech 3 engineers, but he's not really going to be able to take control of the skies with that Tech 3 air superiority fighter just as yet. We've got Ilshivas on the field for Jagged Appliance, having his Tech 2 Seraphim, meaning that he's going to be fairly lethal if he can get a decent pack of those up. They will be able to run through all of these pillars fairly convincingly with the extra range and the extra DPS and HP that those guys have got. Don't forget though that they do cost quite a bit more. Pillars still very efficient mass for mass, but one-on-one I would put my money on the Ilshivas. Heaven maybe just being a little bit too aggressive here. He has wandered very, very far up into territory that is previously owned by which one of the Daves? That is Dave Zero. So he is, well, just trying to be very cheeky. I don't know if that is a real good idea because he has very, very little air support. We can see he's hanging very, very close to the water there so that he can dive in, try and get a little bit of cover. Of course, that is unless Dave 2 has enough resource to pop out some torpedo bombers as well, and then Heaven would definitely not be safe unless they can get a decent amount of AA going. Let's have a look at what Dave 1 is doing. What is the plan here? Well, we've got a whole stack of Tech 2 land factories and, well, a whole lot of upgraded mexes. So it looks like he's probably going to try and play the eco game a little bit, sitting on 107 mass per tick, following behind Speed 2, who of course we all know is very adept at the Eco Whoring game. He's sitting on 143 mass per tick right now. That is very, very good economy management indeed. It does help, of course, that he hasn't had to do a whole lot of fighting just yet. We can see that first Tech 3 power generator going down for him, so he's now going to have 4 point, wow, something-ish power. That's going to be enough to start pumping out some Tech 3 air, and well, he actually needs maybe some air to ground or ground units before he gets too heavily invested in that, because we have got a whole lot of units rolling up this way from Dave 1, and there is currently absolutely nothing here from Heaven to be able to stop him. Those pillars are going to be able to run over that base and clear it out once again, and that's just very unlucky for Heaven, who spent all of this time just rebuilding that base, just trying to get a foothold back in the game. He's still sitting on 37 mass per tick, but it is just not seeming to happen for him. We've got Dave 1's ACU actually looking quite aggressive over this side. He is going to just hang around in the bay here. What is this? A naval factory. Of course, why wouldn't you build a naval factory? Well, I can tell you why you wouldn't, because there are Zoes from the opponent that can just roll on over and smash that naval factory into little tiny pieces, and that'll render your piece of art completely worthless. We can see those Tech 3 ASF rolling out now for speed. He's still sitting reasonably well. Actually, no, he is sitting behind on power to Dave 2, sitting on 7.2k. That is a pretty big differential. That's probably going to mean that the air game swings a little bit more towards the Com clan. And what is this? This is the exact reason why you don't always build lots of static defenses, because you can go around them, and that is Dave 1's pillars rolling around the back of the base, trying to get into these upgraded mexes from Speed 2. And what is Speed going to do about that? He has got no combat units in the area. Well, his ACU is apparently out of here, and he is going to be over here because he is on guard duty. That is a little bit desperate there from Speed 2, having to use that ACU to ward off the Tech 2 invasion rolling around the back of your base. What is this? This is a whole sack of Mercies. Where are those Mercies going? Well, they could be going down towards Heaven, perhaps. Does he have any AA, anything at all? No, there's absolutely nothing. The ASF come rolling in to provide a screen of cover for those Mercies. The Interceptors as well, just for good measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Heaven goes up in flames. So that is a nuclear hug for Heaven, and he is ejected from the game. So we're now sitting on 2 versus 2, both of those left slots completely vacant. The advantage though a little bit towards the Com clan up here, because they've had the time to rebuild this. We can see we've got Tech 2 mass extractors on the site of Dave Zero's old base, but due to the fresh kill of Heaven, there is absolutely nothing producing anything for the E clan. And what have we got over here? We have got a whole stack of Tech 1 bombers. What on earth does Dave 1 hope to achieve with that? Well, he is probably hoping to achieve complete denial of this Zoe army. Well, then come those bombers, and they are making absolute mincemeat out of that army. There is only a couple of those guys left. I think 4, there we go, 5 survived the first pass. But that is not going to bode too well. That is simply a bunch of reclaim dumped by Dave's ACU, who's actually going to reclaim some of the Zoes just for fun. We've now got Jagged Appliance having to cover the left-hand side as well, pretty much due to the lack of combat units that Speed 2 has put together, and this is why, because he is throwing all of his resources into a Galactic Colossus. That is going to be a pretty huge investment. He's sitting on 212 mass per tick generated income. That is a big step up from anyone on the north side of the map. Jagged Appliance though sitting on 94, so he doesn't have as much to play with to defend against these guys, while Speed just sits back and builds experimentals. These Ilshivas, though, proving their worth. They have got a fantastic amount of firepower and range. They're going to force that pushback from Dave 1. That is not going to work too well, but where there is one push failing, there is another one that is looking pretty happy. There are stack of pillars rolling in towards the north of Speed's base. And what have we got to defend against that? Well, very, very little. We've got a single point defense down at this point. Ooh, and a shield going up to cover it. But, well, fortunately, Jagged Appliance is bringing the units back into the center, which is going to keep both of these little forces at bay. Speed 2 having a very good time in the air. We can see him managing to take out all of those ASF from Dave 2, and that actually looks like it gives Speed 2 pretty dominant air control right now. There's only, well, what would you say, about a dozen or not even that many ASF left, but there is a serious lack of air firepower up in the north here, so that would mean that Speed 2, at least for the time being, is going to be able to hold on to that air control. He's finished that GC as well. It's called Burglar Bill. I'm sure I've seen that name before coming out of his naming mod, but now he has actually got quite a bit of eco to play with. Let's just check in with him and see how he's going. See, he is going to be floating mass at a very, very serious rate if he doesn't start building something else substantial. But now he's got what he needs to invest into. Well, it looks like he's investing into more air factories, more power, but he still doesn't have any land units, which is, well, it's probably pretty much in keeping with his mirror up here, Dave 2, that is. He is not building a whole lot of land units. He is focusing very, very much on air, while they're letting the other two players duke it out on the land. Jagged Appliance maybe just bringing those Ilshivers a little bit too far forwards at this point, because he's leaving an opening here for Dave 1 to push back in and clear this zone once again. They've just freshly built new Tech 1 mexes on it. They might be looking to go down fairly soon, unless we can get some air-to-ground capability. So Speed 2 has got the option of putting restorers out of those factories now that he has air control, but he has to be careful he doesn't devote too much resource into that and get behind in the air game. We have got Tech 3 on the field now for Dave 1. We can see there are a few Percivals in that mix. How many we got so far? Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's a few scattered Percivals. Enough, though, that they could start to be a bit of a problem. And what is this? We've got the Galactic Colossus coming in from Speed, but there is a whole horde of Mercies and Tech 1 bombers all laying fire down on that guy. Let's go back to the strategic view to see his HP. Down to 8,700 HP. Still plenty to work with. But be aware, Mr. Speed, that there are a stack of Percivals waiting for you. Probably enough now to do some serious damage if that GC gets down to a sufficiently low amount of health. We're sitting on 81k. That is looking still pretty happy, and he's even backed up by a few of these Occams. He just comes into range of that ACU for Dave 1, but that ACU sitting under shields. He's got command shield, he's got a whole stack of mobile shields between the GC and that ACU. The GC is starting to lay that fire down, but it's very, very slowly eating the shield away from Dave 1. I don't know that that's going to work, because he's taking absolute pounding, and unfortunately Speed 2 has not kept that GC moving. The commander has escaped into the water. The GC will not be able to catch it, and this is looking very, very dicey now. Speed 2 getting very low in health, 26, 25, not looking good at all. So unfortunately, it seems that all Speed has managed to do is donate 20,000 mass to Dave 1. Oh, that's not a particularly good prospect. That's going to bolster the number of Percivals pretty significantly. They're going to have to come up with something pretty fancy to be able to come back from such a loss of mass. What have we got happening? Whoa, it's just fix that. What have we got happening over here with Jagged Appliance? We have got ACU sitting under shield coverage with a not yet completed Tech 2 power gen. Wow, he's feeling a little bit behind in terms of resources, economy development, and kind of map control as well. If we look back at the strategic view, we can see just how much of the map Dave 1 controls, and wow, Jagged Appliance just having a little bit of a hard time keeping up his end of the bargain at protecting Speed 2, while Speed 2 produces lots of large, lovely things with his superior economy. Jagged Appliance is managing to make inroads into the Eco though, sitting on 149 mass per tick. That's actually overtaken Dave 1. No, that must have been a power stall. Dave 1 looks like he's probably sitting on 186 or so, but look at that power stall. That is absolutely terrible. He was probably relying on overflow from these guys, but now that they are finished the GC, they're back on ASF production, all of that power suddenly disappeared. Alright, the GC has been gifted over to Dave 1, so he is going to see what damage he can do with that, and this is looking a little bit dangerous. We have got a whole stack of Percivals. How many are in that mix? Must be 8 or so, backed up by mobile shields and a whole stack of pillars just for good measure. They are sitting on the doorstep for Jagged Appliance, who's having to reposition his units. He's going to throw them over to the left here to try and keep this side of the map secure. But in doing so, it kind of looks like he might be opening himself up for a whole lot of trouble coming down here. Is he aware that all of those units are there? He must be. Let's have a quick look from his perspective. Yes, he knows exactly what's going on. And right now there is just one mass extractor between all of those Percivals and his ACU. So he's got to be thinking of a way to come back from that. Well, what have we got? We've got TAC missile launchers. That could be interesting. If he can find some opportune targets, he might be able to do some damage to the Eco, but even if you damage the Eco at this point, I think there are already so many units on the field, this is going to be very difficult to come back from. What he really needs is an Ethoda, because he needs some serious ground damage. What is this? Speed. I'm not sure if Speed is taking this seriously, but he is now building a SAR. How is he going for air control? They haven't actually had a fight for a little while now. And it looks, just by eye, it looks to me like Dave 2 might be in a slightly superior position when it comes to ASF numbers. It certainly looks that way to me. Speed 2 probably just investing a little bit too much in the rest of his infrastructure. Doesn't quite have anything to answer this Galactic Colossus rolling on, and it's starting to take a little bit of fire from the static defenses in that position from King's old base. But wow, this is not really looking too good. I don't think there's much in there that is going to be able to take out a Galactic Colossus. He is down to 86k HP, so he's taking a reasonable amount of damage. But there is a whole lot of Percivals and pillars rolling in for support as well. So if that GC goes down, as long as he can take out enough of the base, he will have his job done. He's focus firing those missile launchers. If Speed was on the ball, he could potentially have gotten a shot away. If he could connect that with the GC, it would take a big chunk of health off. But I don't think even at this point there is anything that he can do to save it, unless that SAR, look how completed that SAR is. That is sitting about 90%. That is seriously close to being finished. And he may have enough air support in his own territory to actually make that SAR work. And what is this? He has completed it. It's rolling on out. Surely he's going to go straight for that Colossus to take it out before it can do anything. He rolls over the top, does a little bit of damage, but what he's missing, what is happening here? That SAR is not going after the GC. Is this a misclick from Speed 2 or what? He is allowing that GC to roll forward into his base while they go after Percivals. This is a bit of a problem. What is going on here? He had focus fired that GC. There's a chance he may have gotten away with it, but now the GC is within range of the SU. He just escapes on 3,300 HP, but the GC is in hot pursuit. We can see here Speed 2 running for his life, but it is not to be, and he is going to go up in flames as well. It felt so much like he was going to be able to take that GC out and run away with his ACU, but it just didn't happen, and that leaves Jagged Appliance all on his lonesome. He doesn't have any T4s to do anything with this GC. Is wow, just about dead. 6,500 HP left on it, but there is a lot of Percivals and just very, very little left for Jagged Appliance to play with. Not looking at all good for the E-Clan. Oh. And we've got a whole lot of Tech 1 bombers just for fun, so it looks like maybe Dave 1 just having a little bit of a fun time here instead of seriousness. Getting a whole stack of Tech 1 bombers. I don't know that they'll be there in time. Jagged Appliance is trying to get away with that ACU. The GC is going to catch up to it fairly soon. Very, very badly damaged though. It wouldn't take much at all. A single overcharge from Jagged's ACU would finish that off. Does he even have energy storage yet? I don't know if he does. He's trying to throw up a shield generator to buy himself a little bit more time. Just 2,000 HP left on that. GC isn't going to go down. An overcharge does come in, and that does finish off the GC. But look at the Percival still rolling in. There's a bit of T2 point defense as well. Is this going to be able to keep him alive for long? Well, he's sitting under the shield. He's actually doing a jolly good job of holding out, but I can't help but feel he's not going to be able to win this one. And there we go. We've got Strat Bombers overhead from Dave 2. While there has been absolutely no pressure applied to him, he's managed to build up a couple of Strat Bombers. We can see actually a pretty serious stream of Strat Bombers rolling on in. Jagged's ACU is not going to last long. It is under a shield, but that shield very quickly evaporating as those strategic bombs rain down on his head. And there's Percival's in the back just for fun as well. So you can see he's just trying to get out of here, but not going to have any success, I'm afraid. Well, there we have a very interesting match between Dave, and Dave versus Speed, Jagged Appliance, and Heaven. So at this point we can issue congratulations to the Com Clan for taking these guys out, securing themselves a couple more points in the Clash of Clans. Well, it's not really a tournament, it is a series. So thank you to FTX Commando for firing this through to me. That is the end of the replay. That is the end of the match. We have a winner. Alright, thank you for watching. Hopefully the minimap was a little bit better this time, thanks to the guys that commented and helped me out with figuring out how to run that just a little bit smarter so that we didn't intrude quite so badly on the match. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. It was a reasonably good match, and congratulations again to the Com Clan. Join me again next time for, well, whether it's a tournament or some more Clash of Clans action. Until then, have a good one. And we'll go to this.